Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. This is a what's in my pot game. Now, although I haven't published the clip yet, while I was filming my before and afters and I got to my Dendrobium phalaenopsis type, I was watering them at the same time. Somewhere up on that shelf was a pot that when I pour water through it, loads of bits come out the bottom into the water. And that clip hasn't actually been published yet, but something is in that pot chewing, and I hope it's only chewing the bark. I haven't got a clue what it is, but for lots of tiny little black bits to come out of the pot, that's either whatever the something is poo, or it's chewed up bits of something. But having identified the plant, I separate it out so I don't get it muddled up again, and this is it. While I'm at it, I was also filming my phalaenopsis. That was on a mount, and basically it's going to get discarded. The leaf size on it should be bigger than that. That leaf's already desiccated, no root growth whatsoever, and it's pushing out tiny little leaves. I've just cut the rhizome. I'm not happy with the look of that rhizome. It's got rot in it. I don't think it's got any purple on it, but it's not worth keeping. It was bought on a whim for next to no money. It's a phalaenopsis that doesn't even have an exciting bloom, and it's taking up space. That can be used by a better plant, so that's out for a start. Now let's have a look. Anybody that's squeamish, if I see anything wriggling, I'll let you know. But something's in this pot chewing something. And it's either pooing all over the place, in which case it must be quite big, because there's a lot of it, and or it's chewing up the bark. And quite honestly, I haven't got a flipping clue at the moment, but hopefully we'll find out. Right, come out, wherever you are. Well, at the moment nothing's moving. We've got a shed load of dead roots here and not many live ones at all, so this really needed to come out of the pot anyway for reasons other than creepy crawlies. That piece is hanging off and it looks like it's a separate piece. Yeah, okay, separate piece. I might actually put that in a separate pot. Dendrobium phalaenopsis types, when in bloom, are quite sellable, because out of the dendrobiums to keep in your home on the windowsill type thing, the phalaenopsis are quite good for that. They're a lot more tolerant than many of the dendrobiums, and a lot of my dendrobiums are species. They need to be quite good. Well, I can't see anything at the moment, so what was causing the problem? Let's get the pot out of the way. There's definitely nothing in that pot. No, nothing hiding under the pot. Let's have a root around in here, because at the moment I am at a loss. Wish I hadn't watered it now, but if I hadn't watered it I wouldn't have found out which pot it was. I can't see anything in there that could be chewing the bark up. Oh well, it's probably going to remain unknown then. But it needed to come out of that pot, quite honestly. There's another piece there that looks like it's about to break off. I'll try and keep that together, because this has actually got a nice new growth on it. This piece has got a new growth. There's several new growths in here. So I think this is just a matter of tidying it up and getting it in some fresh media and trim all these dead roots off. Don't see anything living in there. If there is, it's going to come out under the tap or suffer the hydrogen peroxide death. One way or the other, there's not going to be anything living in there by the time I've finished. And yeah, I think the fact that that's got two new growths on it, I think I'll just pot that little bit up separately and put it to one side as a potential sellable plant when it gets to blooming size. Got very good roots on it, but then the new growth is starting to push out some new roots, so put it in a tiny little pot and see if I can bring it on. Okay, I shall get things cleaned up and then get rid of the muck, and yeah, I can't see anything living in there. I was expecting to find a creepy crawly of some sort, like wood lice. They'll chew up things, centipedes, millipedes, those sort of things. Aha! Gotcha! There he is. A living creature. It's actually a millipede. So I'm just trying to... Let's get a spoon. Spoon. One, there may be more, but that's basically what it is. It's a millipede. Yeah? Now those are normally carnivorous. It's the centipedes that are live on dead matter, so I was told. But that shouldn't be in there, and it's there may be more, having just found that one buried in underneath. But anyway, that little creature could be the cause of the problem all on its own, and it's been living quite happily in there where it shouldn't be. So okay, I shall close down. He's going out in the garden. There's no need to kill it. It's not a harmful bug. Okay, two choices here. I went with this one. I'd like to cram it in a small pot, because whatever it goes in, it's probably not going to stay in there a huge amount of time, because as it grows it'll expand. So it's not one of these long-term 4 or 5 years in the same pot thing. Consequently, I'm quite happy to add a fair bit of moss, and I'm going to use small bark, because this now really is in a sort of recovering stage, because it's had root disturbance and it has got some new roots with growing tips. So that's enough, hopefully, to get it going, especially when it gets in some quite fine media. But I want to keep the hydration up. It is a Phalaenopsis type, so it doesn't need the total wet-dry cycle really. It needs to stay at least slightly moist in between waterings, so it's going to get a fair bit of moss in it. And that hopefully will encourage the roots to not only grow but to branch as well. So we'll see what we can do. As I said, it's now really a rescue plant because it hasn't got a huge, good root system. Most of those roots were old, dead, dying, and have since ceased to be. Okay, so I wanted to get it in a small pot, but it would be too squashed. So I've gone for a slightly larger pot with the width, but this is, if it will show on the camera, one hell of an air cone. It's a double air cone pot. So it's got its first stage and then its second stage, and a lot of chunky bark in the bottom, which now makes it a very shallow pot. And I'm going to sink it in the pot because the sides of the pot will help hold it upright. So I don't need a huge amount of media in the bottom, or it will start sitting the plant too high. So we'll get a fair bit, enough to actually give it something to grow into, and if it does go down through the fine media into the bigger stuff, those will be bigger, stronger, healthier roots. So if they get down in there, it's not the end of the world. And as I said, I want to use the sides of the pot to help hold this in place, because it hasn't got many roots to hold it in place. So that's sort of leaning against the pot now, and then we'll just get some down in round the base. Not going to pack this in tight. There's a lot of very fragile new roots down there that I do not want damaged, so I'm not doing a lot of bashing and poking around. I'm just gently easing this in, and the new roots will then grow into the media and hold it in place. So I'm not going mad. I also don't want to cover the base of the plant. You know, if you get your the base of your pseudobulbs in too deep, that's how you start rotting. Yeah, that's not how they would normally grow. The little bit of the bottom of the pseudobulb that you often see in naturally growing orchids looks like it's buried, but it's not. That bit near the surface of what it grows in is normally very loose. It's recent stuff. It's not had a chance to compact or anything. So they sit on the top, grow into the stuff, and find the bark in underneath, and then pull themselves down and hard. and establish themselves. But when they first start to grow, they're right on the surface. And the roots get into the loose stuff first, and then they have to burrow their way in through that to find something substantial to hang on to. And if the wind blows, they might manage to hang on and stay there. So that's probably about it. If I put much more in there, I am going to start burying the base of the pseudobulbs. But keeping it loose will do. So that's it. It's a little wobbly, but because it's touching the sides of the pot, the only wobbling it's going to get is me, and I know to lift this carefully and not wobble it around. So that'll do for that one. That's a no ID Phalaenopsis type, and until it ever blooms again, I can't even remember what colour it is. But I think it was a basic white, pale pink possibly, with some deep purple either around the edges or in the middle. One of those two anyway, and if I remember rightly it was quite a large bloom. If we ever see it again, but it's got some new growths, so it's got potential to bloom on the new canes. I mean, that's the best new growth there, but there are others. There's one coming out here, there's one going up through the middle, so it has the potential to bloom in the dim and distant, as they say. So I know it's a Dendrobium Phalaenopsis, it doesn't need a tag, and until it gets a bloom so that I can write the colour on it, that way I can keep my notes up to date as it progresses or not, it's just a hybrid Phalaenopsis. So there we go, creature found. I actually found a second one, so there were two. Where there's two, there's potential for more. So that's all cleaned off now. The chewy little things that were in there dirtying my water every time I watered it, that will now stop, and hopefully there's enough new roots on that to actually get that going quite quickly. Oh, good job. See you next time.